Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back into my channel. So in this lab, we're going to talk about AWS Cloudshell. So it says that AWS Cloudshell explore and manage AWS resources from a terminal in your browser. So says sign in quickly with your pre-configure AWS management console credentials, save time with pre-installed tools and automatic updates within a fully management Amazon Linux 2 environment when scripts and command at no extra cost with up to 1 GB of persistent storage per AWS region. So customize your home directory with script files, configuration preferences, and other tools. So it just explained to you how Cloudshell works. So using AWS Cloudshell, a browser-based shell, you can quickly run scripts with AWS command line interface, experiment with service API using the AWS CLI, and use other tools to increase your productivity. So the Cloudshell icon appears, bang, bang, bang. So it's kind of explain where you will find the Cloudshell. Let's just go ahead here and see.
AWS Cloudshell makes it easy to securely manage, explore, and interact with AWS resources directly from a browser. In this demo, we'll learn how to launch a new Cloudshell environment and use the available features to help us focus more on building our AWS resources and less on maintaining our local machines. To get started, we simply click the AWS Cloudshell icon in the top navigation bar from any supported region. In just a few seconds, we have access to a Linux terminal with a wide range of pre-installed tools, such as the AWS CLI and the AWS Elastic Beanstalk, Amazon Elastic Container Service, and AWS SAM CLIs. The shell environment is pre-configured with our AWS credentials, allowing us to seamlessly interact with our AWS account the same way we would using the AWS console. Let's use the AWS ECS CLI to create an ECS cluster. We also have the programming language runtimes and AWS SDKs for Python and Node.js built in, as well as the ability to install additional software as needed. Here, we've just installed the AWS Cloud Development Kit globally and used it to initialize a new application. Any global changes we make to the operating system will last until our Cloudshell session expires, even if we exit and return to Cloudshell before it times out. But we have 1 GB of persistent storage available in our home directory that will still be there when we launch a new session. And of course, we can download our files from Cloudshell to use locally, or we can use the AWS CLI to back them up to Amazon S3. We can also use this space to store additional user scripts and configuration preferences to automatically customize our environment the way we like it. For example, if we prefer Z-shell over bash, we could modify the file .bash_profile in our home directory to switch to Z-shell when we open a new session. We could then install one of the popular Z-shell configuration frameworks and customize it to our liking using various plugins or themes, just as if we were working in a local shell. Visit aws.amazon.com/cloudshell to learn more about how you can make it part of your toolset today.
Okay, guys, so basically this was a very useful video on how to work with Cloudshell. So it says here the use cases is to optimize your daily tasks, to simplify your workflow, to simplify infrastructure management. So it's kind of explain how to start and stuff like that. Well, go ahead and just jump in there. Now, if you look on your AWS page, just go to dashboard here. Right there, the little icon here is where you would find Cloudshell. If you click on that, so there we go. I probably was already have my Cloudshell open. Let me just say, see, preparing terminal. So there we go. We have Cloudshell. Now, if you can't find this, Cloudshell is only available in certain region. So let's just say Cloudshell availability region. So if you go down here, let's see. How about we make this Google instead? Okay, so let's just go here and see. So supported AWS region for Cloudshell. So these are the list of the regions that Cloudshell is available for. So should your geographical location is not one of those locations here, so you may not be able to use Cloudshell, but this is not big of a deal because the fact that the alternative is that you could download the AWS CLI on either Mac, Linux, or Windows. But again, these places, it says that for a list of AWS services, endpoints, and quota for Cloudshell. So these are all the places where Cloudshell will be available. Now let's just jump back over there. And so let's say available command to use Cloudshell with AWS. So let's just click here. Bang, bang, bang. It's not what I really want. See if I can get. I start with AWS Cloudshell. Port. Okay, so let me go ahead and just switch back here, and there go my Cloudshell. So I can create stuff with Cloudshell. I can go ahead and just type in, let's say I type in AWS, and I can hit enter. So it's kind of going to show me my it's kind of going to show me my, for example, I just type in the AWS comment. So as you can see, it says it's installed. So bang, bang, bang. So AWS argument. Now, if I want to, I could see the version of my AWS 2 as well. So all I got to do is just type in AWS -- version, and it's going to display the version of my AWS with Cloudshell. And the other thing I could do again is that, so the Cloudshell is for free. And so it's a cool thing about the other cool thing about Cloudshell is that whenever you are using the CLI, so for example, if I could use I could use Cloudshell to see how many users that I have available. I can just go ahead and clear. Hold up. Just hit clear. Oh, it's a typo, so let's just clear. And let's see if I can just copy paste some commands. So note, if you creating a bucket outside of the East US1 region and create bucket encryption, configuration, create bucket configuration with the location constraint parameter to specify the region, the following is an example of syntaxes. So that's not what I really want. But let's see working with AWS Cloudshell. So we can just let's just So, okay, let me see. It says setting the environment variable changes the value that used until either at the end of your shell session or when you set up a variable to a different value. So you can set variable in your shell startup script to make the variable persistent across future session. So working with Cloudshell, you could create table. You could create an Amazon EC2 Glacier, AWS Elastic Bean CLI and stuff like that. So then let's say I do, let me see. AWS Cloudshell compute environment. Let's see, working with AWS services. Let's see if we have I've been there before, so getting started. So how to get, I already did. So getting started with AWS Cloudshell. So working with AWS Cloudshell, let's see this. Already been there. But basically, if I want to, I'm just too lazy to type in things, but I can do that just for the sake. So I could do like, let's say I do AWS IAM list users. So it's kind of return for you an API call as if the credential being used, the location, the account of your using right now. So which is why the API call are working. So by default, you can specify any kind of region you want, you want to do with Cloudshell. So you see everything here. It shows that the user is Tom, the user ID is this, and the ARN is that. So, and the other thing you could do again, let's say for instance, you were to type in just the uppercase and just use the region here, just minus, let's say region, and just type in enter. So this, it's kind of like in the Cloudshell, the default region is going to be the region you're currently logging to right now. So let's see here. It's kind of showing you, let's say if you were to go here, so it's a list of all the regions that we have here. So East US 1 and all the regions that we have right there. So now if you want to, let's say you could do, sorry, ls, it's just clear. And so for example, if you want to, you could create some files with Cloudshell by just do ls, let's say you say echo quotation text, call this file test, or let's just call it demo instead. Demo, and we could let's call this, Cloudshell test. And let's close this. And then we could do a quotation, and we call this demo.txt, and we hit enter. Now, if we do, now in order to pull the file, we created we're going to do some cat demo.txt, txt. So it's display the Cloudshell test that we created. So we just pulled the file. So it's turned out that if you happen to restart your Cloudshell, you could restart it from here. So you see, we start AWS Cloudshell. It's also give you another option again to download file and upload file in Cloudshell. You could even split into columns and some certain stuff that you could do with Cloudshell. So this is pretty handy. Andy, let's say if you do like ls, it's kind of display the text that we just created with Cloudshell. So it's pretty cool, I would say. Now, if you go here to preferences, you could either make your Cloudshell smaller, small, medium, large, or largest. So then you could either close, turn off, and open the enable safe pass paste. So you could either use like AWS Cloudshell theme, whether if you want it to be dark or light or whatever that you want to do, you could make your own configuration preferences to how you like it. So, and the other thing again I like about Cloudshell is that you could even change the font size to however you like it. Now, if you go to action, let's say you go to action, right? Again, like I said, you could upload and download Cloudshell things. You could either restart, say for instance, if I were to do PW2, it's kind of showing you the path of whom Cloudshell user and stuff like that. So if you want, you could even copy things. You could download, say if I were to download something in Cloudshell, so, and this will go ahead and download any file that you want to download. You could upload and download any files from Cloudshell. So let's say if I do, let's say cancel, let's say I copy this and I go here, say download file, and I paste this file here, this file path here, and I hit a download. It's going to go ahead and download the file for me in Cloudshell. So it's preparing the download, and alternatively, you could upload your own file too as well into your cultural environment. So this is pretty handy, like I was saying, but it just says that unable to download file. Check the file name and path and try again. Let me see. Hold on. That. Hold on. Let me see what it says here. Let me hit download again. Let's see what's going on here. And let's paste it. And let's say download. Now, the other thing again you could do with Cloudshell, which I'm going to show you, I'm not sure why it doesn't download this, but it should. Enable to download the file, check the file name and path or the system message, whatever. But if you want to, you could either have a split your screen with Cloudshell. You could have another Cloudshell here, down here. If you want to, you could even have new tab with Cloudshell. Say, for instance, let's say, hold up. Let me close one. Let me reopen Cloudshell. Let's see. Now that's another one here. You could do new tab, of which you would have like multiple Cloudshell that's open together. So you see, I have another one here. I have this PWD. So yeah, I mean, Cloudshell is pretty interesting. So you could do almost anything that you would do with AWS. Let's just close this. And let's close that. Let's close this one. Let's close that one. Now we're left with this one. Now, let's see if you want to, if I were to press this new tab here, I could make things be. So that's not a Cloudshell that's open on the top of the other one that we had here. So you could switch from one to one here. That's pretty nice to use. And it's so user-friendly to use Cloudshell. I honestly prefer Cloudshell over the terminal or the CLI that you use. But basically, that's pretty much everything that I would like to show you with Cloudshell. I appreciate you taking the time to. Now, if you want to know how to do, let's say, hold up. So you could just go to, let me see, I will go to, oh, sorry. Let me say Google, and let's say AWS CLI command. So there's nothing that you can do with AWS. There's nothing that you can do with the CLI command that you can do right there from Cloudshell. Just get out here. Reference. Let's check out this cheat sheet here and see. Kubernetes up. Let me see. I can't copy this. Let me see AWS configure, profile and profile name. Let's go to, hold up. Let's just make this, let's switch to that. And from Cloudshell here, let's just CLI, and let's say AWS configure minus profile, and then profile name. So it asks us for access keys, which I don't have. So I probably will just leave that alone. So clear, oh, sorry. That's it. Now, should I output this? So AWS, let's try this, AWS, let's configure. So this is specify your AWS region, and let's call this East. US East, I mean. So US dot East /1. So it's kind of display an API with all these. So usage, AWS option, command, sub command, bang, bang, bang. So you could do AWS help, AWS, bang, bang, bang. So the API gateway. So AWS API gateway, get REST APIs and stuff like that. So these are a list of command that you could use with Cloudshell. So again, I will leave say cheat sheet. Oh, yes. I would leave let's get out. All right, guys. So stay tuned for another lab configuration. I appreciate you guys following along with me. I'll see you in the next lab.